What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to a dope tutorial. Today going to be going over an oil and water, one of my favorite effects. This is going to be one of my favorite handlings of the oil and water plot. I'm a big fan of this plot. It is pretty controversial. A lot of people think it's boring and don't like it, which I understand, but for me it's just one that's fun and I like to create different methods for it, and so I'm going to share with you in this video some of my own methods and some other methods taken from some other people, and they're going to be combined into this nice effect with I think 3 or 4 phases. It's going to build on each other and they work together really nicely. Now I wanted to teach my oil and water that I actually do for spectators, and it is going to use the first 2 phases of this are the ones that I actually use, but unfortunately the 3rd phase I cannot teach. It's not mine. It belongs to Danny Dougherty's. It's called Oil and Water in the Spectator's Hands, and it's absolutely great. They do it all themselves in their hands, and then the cards happen to separate. It's pretty amazing. So I use that. Fortunately, I can't teach that, so I have a really nice 2nd phase and final phase that I'm going to teach you with some of my own methods that I think also are really, really awesome and leave that really shocking sort of feeling. So I want to welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining, and without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you a performance of this oil and water piece. So for this, I'm going to use 3 black cards to represent the oil and 3 red cards to represent the water. Now what do we know happens when you try to mix oil and water? Obviously they don't mix very well and they separate. So let's try a little experiment here. We got the 1, 2, 3 water cards and the 1, 2, 3 oil cards. Now I'll take those 3 oil cards, we'll leave them right there, and the water cards we will leave here, and we'll mix now. Oil, water, oil, water, oil, and water. Now if we just wait a second, wave my hand, it's pretty incredible, but the cards will actually separate into the oil and the water. Now that's pretty crazy, but let's try it again here. Once again, we have the 1, 2, 3 water cards and the 1, 2, 3 oil cards. Now I'll take the oil cards this time and we'll leave them just like that. And we'll take the first water card and we'll put that right there, next water card right there, and the last water card on top, and you can clearly see them be pushed together fair and square, alternating and mixed. Once again, if I wave my hand, incredibly, they separate once again into the oil and the water. Now this is pretty crazy, but this time I want you to help me out. I want you to mix these oil and water. So go ahead, oil, water, oil, water, oil, and water. Now this time, you not only did you see them being mixed, but you felt them being mixed. And just to see that your eyes aren't playing tricks on you, I'll show you those cards there. You can see oil, water, perfect mix, right? Just like that, fair as can be. I'll set those down, wave my hand once again, and incredibly, we have oil, 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 and water, water, water. Now this is absolutely incredible. But one last time, I want you to feel the magic happen, but in a different way this time. Watch. Oil, water, oil, water, oil, water. You can see those cards alternated, right? Your eyes are not playing tricks on you. You can see that each card is alternating. As I push those into the middle of the pack, I want you to hold out your hand and hold those between your hands for me. Squeeze. Imagine them separating, feel them separating. Flip your hand over and check. And you should see a perfect separation of oil and water. Alright guys, so that is the effect. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's a great effect. It has some nice phases, builds really nicely, and has a good little storyline to it. So for this, we don't need our decks here. We're just going to use 3 red cards, 3 black cards. That's one of the reasons I love this one. It's minimal, easy, but it packs a nice punch. So you're going to want to take 3 red cards, 3 black cards. There are no gimmicks in this. It's all just some nice sleight of hand. So I would recommend you use some spot cards, like between 6 and 10, because they're really vibrant with the colors and they distinguish each from each other really well. I also try not to use any duplicating numbers just for one of the phases. If they happen to be in a certain order, you'll see you might see an 8 3 times. Instead of seeing the 8 twice, it's not as obvious that you're showing one of the cards a couple of times. So I would just be mindful of that. Now, Phase one, obviously I like to start oil and water just explaining, these are the 3 red cards that are going to represent the water and the 3 black cards are going to represent oil. And I like to ask the spectator, do you know what happens when you mix oil and water? Most people will, and if not, I try to guide them towards that. I say, you mix them, they separate obviously, right? They don't mix well. So we're going to try a little experiment here. What you're going to do, you're going to take the 3 black cards and place the 3 red cards on top. So you're in this position, right? Now this is a move. This first 2 phases are from Tom Matrick. You can go check out his YouTube channel, and this is where I first saw this phase 1 and phase 2, and they work really nice. They fit really well together. They're easy and very convincing. So that's why I love to use them for my first 2 phases of this. So place the cards like this. Now you're going to peel off the 3 water cards while you count them. So you say I have 1, 2, 3 water cards, and then you're going to place 2 back into that left hand. Okay, so it looks like this. I have 1, 2, 3 water cards. And as you place them back, you flip over like this, just to, just casually show the backs of the cards. You're showing there's nothing fishy going on, all that stuff. At the beginning too, I do sometimes let my spectator inspect the cards if you really want to be extra, proof that these are regular cards. So again, we go 1, 2, 3 water cards and flip. And now as we come back, obviously when you flip, this would be like this, but flip so that this single card just overlaps and is on top of these, right? So you flip like this. So now when you come back, this single card is now underneath the spread. Okay, so it started on top, you flip, and then when you come back, it's going to be underneath the spread. So you see how you kind of do that? Come from here, you say 1, 2, 3 water cards, and then you go apart, but then as you come back, it's going to end up on top like this. So it's a very casual way of moving this card to the bottom. So as you do that, now you're going to pinch the 3 water cards with the thumb here and the index on the back. You just kind of pinch it like this, you hold it, and now it's almost like you're in a cull position. You can now feed cards into that slot. So what you're going to do for the first phase is you're feeding that first oil card into that slot, and this is very easy to feel, and you just feed it in there as you're counting. So you go and 1, and now that's in that slot, right? And then the other 2 are going to go on top of it though, regular. 2 and 3 oil, okay? All right, so it's just that first oil card slips in behind this red card, and then the last 2 oil go on top. But from the front, you can't really tell anything at all fishy is going on, and you just square up. So the position you should be in is like this: 2 oil on the bottom, a water, an oil, and then 2 more water. Okay, and now you're gonna flip over, and it's important you remember the order that you do this, or else things will not work out perfectly with the way that we're doing it here. So what you want to do is you want to count off 3 oil. You don't want to count them down to the table. That won't work. So you're going to count off 1, 2, 3, keeping them in order, set them down in a pile. Okay, and what I like to do is then pick up that top card and flip over this pack at the same time and say, look, we got the oil over here and the water over here. So that's another little subtlety, another little piece of proof. But really over here, you have 2 oil and then a water on the bottom. And here you have an oil on top with 2 water on the bottom. Okay, so you pick up that and you turn the wrists in. You say we have oil here, water here. Now watch. And as I come down, I just subtly flash this, right? So I say oil. You need to start with oil, by the way. You can't start water, oil. You need to go oil, water for this particular sequence to work. So oil, and then this one you can't show, so you go water. And then you go oil again, you flash again. And then now you can flash both of these. So you go water and you drop one on top, and then you can't flash this one, oil, and then you flash the last one, water. And there you'd have your separation. Now, it's an easy to remember which ones you can flash and which ones you can't. You just can't flash the middle cards of the oil water separation, if you want to say, right? So we have our first oil, and this would be a middle card, right? This is what should be a water, but it's, for us, for the method, we know for it to work, this has to be an oil, right? It's that middle oil, so we can't flash it, right? So oil, water, oil, we can flash this one, it's one of the end ones. Now both of these are fine because these are the 2 edge water ones, so it's water, right? Now this is the middle water again, so we cannot flash it because it's a water when it should be an oil. And then water. So you don't have to do that, you can just do them all face down, but I like just little subtle flashes. Feels like you're pretty much showing every single card, but there's just 2 that you're skipping out on, and then you'll have a nice separation. That's really, really nice. So now you're in this position. I just casually spread and I say, look, we have a perfect separation. Your eyes aren't playing tricks on you, of oil and water. I separate here and I move the oil cards back to the bottom. Okay, so now we're in the same position that we started in. And now we're going to do the exact same count, but this time we're going to place all 3 of them into that secret opening, right? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3 water cards. Bring the 2 back in the hand, separate, turn, come back on the bottom, and pull those away. So we're pinching everything. You don't need to really pull them away, I should say, but you just kind of get a grip on all 3 of them. I do kind of separate though, and then I go, and then 1, 2, 3 oil, and this time all 3 slide into that little pocket. And then again, from the top you can't see anything, and you just square up everything nicely. So now our position is 2 waters on top, 3 oil, and then another water at the bottom there. So you square that up, you flip, and again, the same thing. You can't deal face down. You have to spread 3 off and leave them down like this. So those 3 are gonna be 2 oils and a water. So you place those down just like that. Just, you know, the first 3 off the top, you just spread 1, 2, 3, and you set them down with a little space. Now we're gonna get a double here. Now you might find a double difficult from just 3 cards, but again, you just need to do a block push off, and that's what I usually do. So a block push off, you're just pushing everything over but the last card, and it's really easy. You just use the thumb to push everything over, and you get a double. So the position you should be in is have that oil on top with 2 waters on the bottom, so obviously we need to hide it. Another thing you can do is just use the fingers at the edge here to pull and flip everything over. It doesn't look quite as natural, but it's a little bit easier for getting a double. So you're gonna get that double, show, there's water card number 1, but you want this to be quick, and do not draw attention to the pip or anything, because this is the card we're gonna be showing twice. So in this case, how we're making this more fair, more justified, is we're specifically showing them each water card going in at a separate spot, right? So that's what's taking this phase to the next level. So we say, look, this time I'll show you all of the water cards. So there's the first one. You just say the first water card. You don't say the value, nothing. Now you're gonna take the bottom card, right? The bottom card, pull it out so that we're not showing this one again until later. So we pull out the bottom card, so now it's different. Here's the second water card, you place that in, and I like to leave them out jogged so they can, really see them separating. And then quickly you just flash this, just enough time for them to see it's red. You don't want them to see the value. You just say, look, and the last water card we'll leave there, so they can clearly see it. And now at this point, I'll have them square up everything. I'll say, push everything in, really fair. You can feel that, wave the hand, and once again, you have a separation. And that's an incredibly strong phase, super, super strong. Really kills. Now this third phase we're going to explain, I want it to be even more fair. So this time I want you to do it. You mix them oil, water, oil, water. So now they're going to mix oil, water, oil, water, oil, water. They're going to do it. And now I say, now this time not only did you see it, but you felt the mix. You really felt this. There's no way that your eyes can be playing tricks on you, but just in case I'm going to show you, and you're going to come up and you're going to just spread them like this. What you want to do is get your middle finger to contact the second from bottom card. And then your thumb on the back here is going to contact these other 3, right? So the second from bottom, my middle finger is on, my thumb is on the second, third, and fourth card from top, right? So that 5th card, my middle finger is on, the first card my thumb is on, so I can slide these 2 freely, but then my bottom fingers are on the very bottom card, and my thumb is on the corner of those 3. So now what I can do is slide these 2 cards, the 5th and the first card, freely. Okay, and that's kind of the position you want to be in. I'm going to show you a slightly different way to do this that you might prefer, because this one's a little tricky, but you just need to be able to pinch with the thumb those 3 in the bottom so that these 2 can freely slide, right? So now, as exposed, as you come down, you just slide those 2 out, give them a little magic rub and place them on top, and that just appears like all you did was come from here and separate the top 2 cards and just place them on top for a second, right? So it's really kind of a nothing moment, but at speed, it's just, I just want to make sure your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. You can see, you mix those cards, and then you leave them on top, and now you got your 2 oil on top. So that is a way to do it. Another way to do it would be to show, and then you're going to come over top with this hand in sort of a biddle grip and get your fingers on this card, and as you come down, you're squaring everything up and pushing that card off into a pinky clip, into side steel, right? So from the top, it looks like you're squaring everything. You're gonna pull it out with a clip and just square everything on top, loading that card on top, right? So at a bit of speed, you say, look, I want you to see all those cards. Make sure your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. You can see that there, and I will leave those as fair as can be, and I've controlled that to the top. So I prefer the first method. It's a little more open. You just say, you see those cards right there, and you kind of pull that card out of the middle. It's very natural, and you just throw them on top. So now they feel like they're mixed, but all you need to do is get that 5th card to the top. And now you can do something really nice. You can be very open, very fair, and do the separation like this. You go oil, Take a nice long pause after you place that first oil card, right? And then take the second one. Oil. And now all you need to do is a second deal, right? It's really easy. And then you go and oil. Boom. And you've hit all three. And there you go. And you've done the separation. So it's a really nice way to separate with just one little sleight. It's super, super fair. You do all the work here on the way down. Boom. And then it's just oil, oil, oil on the second deal, and it's really nice. If you really want to get crazy, you can do this without any shifts at all and hit a Greek deal on the first deal, which I have done, and it works really nice. You just Greek deal that card, and then you don't have to move anything, right? So you set up your Greek deal, and you go oil, and you go fair, oil, and you go second deal, oil, and then you go water, 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 and it's really, really nice, really fair. That's a really, really nice third phase. So now the fourth phase, finally, we're gonna let them, do the mixing again, and then it's gonna happen the change in their hands this time. They're gonna, feel everything. You could have them do this. They just did it in the last phase, the mixing, so I don't mind doing it here. But this time what you're gonna do is you're gonna place oil, and then you're gonna place water. Now the second card, the water card, needs to be higher, needs to be, jogged up, right? And then you go oil, and then you jog it up again, oil, and jog up the water. So now all the water cards are jogged, and you're gonna take this, flip it bookwise, and say, look, you can really see those mixed, and you just pinch, and you can see them all like that. You can see all the water cards, all the oil cards interlaced just like that. Now you square, and you're gonna line up this front edge. You're gonna line up all the cards. You're just gonna, push them, make them nice and square. And now you're just gonna do a DPS, or a straddle pass, basically, with those. So you're gonna come through, you're gonna push them to the side, and you come through, and underneath you pull them out, and push everything on the bottom. And then you instantly hand that out into their hands, and do that. So this can look incredibly fair, even done really, really slow. So let me show you what it looks like at like normal speed, and then I'll show you how fair it can even look slow. So you say, look, you can see that fair as can be, and I'll take those cards and I'll push them in. I want you to hold those in your hands like that, and they have separated. So a few things. The reason you need to put the water card as the one that's up jogged when the second water card is because now when you flip it bookwise, the water card is going to be the one that's pushed in, right? You don't want you don't want it to be this way so that this top card is being pushed, and then you'll see that top card obviously sliding back and shifting through. You need the second card to go underneath the first so that it comes out of view as you do the shift, right? So I'll link my straddle pass video, but this is very easy to do even though it's a multi-card. It's essentially the same thing as a single card because they're so tightly pushed together, but you're just pushing through at an angle, grabbing it with the thumb, and then you're pulling everything through, pivoting out, straddling it, and then straightening it up underneath. Now this works at super slow speeds because of the angles here. You can cover them super, super well. Even at a super slow speed, you can see everything is completely covered. And you can't even see that, even when I do it slow, right? So it's really, really nice. And then the last little subtlety would be like you do this and you hand out the deck at the same time. So you go, you do this move, and then as you have these cards back in this hand, you come back, you grip them, and you immediately say, here, hold your hand out, and you put those into their hand. So at a nice speed, it's very justified, it's very fluid, and it looks great, right? You're up here, you show them the mix, and you say, all right, I'll just push those into the middle. Here, hold out your hand, boom, and the shift is done and ready. So that is sort of my oil and water, how I handle it. Once it's in their hands, make sure you milk that moment. You say, feel those cards separating, starting to change, and then boom, and let them flip it over and experience it for themselves. You can even have them deal one at a time to build some anticipation. So that's my oil and water. Hope you guys like it. I'm going to teach you in the other uses and ideas a little bit easier method for fourth phase if you don't like the push through idea, using the opt account. So let's check that out right now. So in terms of the uses and other ideas, I'm going to look at the opt account, which would be a great sort of fourth phase if you find that DPS shift too hard. It's super strong because they get to feel everything in their hands, but I understand it's not the easiest thing to do. So what you would do, just after you've done the second deal phase, you can now let them mix again however they want, right? So oil, water, oil, water, oil, water. And then this time there's no funny moves. You just flip the cards over and you say, we're going to let it separate, do your move. And then you separate them and you say, look, we'll have the oil cards now separated and the water cards. Watch. We got 1, 2, 3 water cards. And over here we got 1, 2, 3 oil cards. So that is the Opta count. It's a Danny Ortiz move, really, really great, and it just allows you to hide the middle card of a 3 card set. So essentially when you do a mix, right, and you split them into 3, you are just going to hide the middle card here and hide the middle card here, so you have your oil and your waters. So again, you mix oil, water, you flip over, and then you separate, and the top 3 are going to be your oil, the bottom 3 are going to be your water, because you have the oils on the outside here. So you say, I'm going to put the oils here and the waters. Now you square up and you flip over everything, and you say, look, we have water 1, and now you're going to do a block push off. Okay, so you just push off everything above the break. It's very easy, guys. Just use that thumb, pinch the cards, index, middle finger, thumb pushes over. Okay, so you're going to push over and flip that card into this hand, or that double. And you're not really trying to, you don't need to conceal this as a double, but you just, you don't flash that black card. So you push it and you say, there's water card number 1. So that's the 7. So water card number 1, and then you're going to drop off the card that's on the back, which in this case is an oil card, right? So you do that very quickly. So you say, look, water card number 1, and it looks like that's the card they just saw, but really it's the oil. And then you bring attention here, you say water card number 2, flip that, and then you have this nice moment where you can just say, and water card number 3. And now same thing, you're gonna be showing that top card twice, so don't spend too much time on it. So you flip and you say, look, there's water card number 1, water card number 2, water card number 3. And even watching that, it looks very deceptive. The second you flip this, you don't spend too much time here. You just say, look, there's water card number 1, drop it, bring attention here, water card number 2, and then quickly water card number 3. Remember, it's only about the color. They don't care about the value. Then you come to here, you do the same thing. You flip, block push off, and flick it over. So block push off, flick it into the hand, water card number 1, you drop it onto the table, water card number 2, and I like to give a little, flick, and then water card number 3 onto the table, or oil card I should say. So at speed, it's just, look, we got oil card number 1, oil card number 2, oil card number 3. Now this is going to set you up into the last final phase, which can be very clean as well. They believe that you've just separated oil, water based on the Opta count, and you are actually, because you already have an oil over here and a water over here, you can actually just go straight into another phase. All you need to do is shift the oil card to the top on the water, right? So right after you've done the Opta count, you pick up the water pile and you say, that's incredible. We got our 3 water cards here, we got our oil cards here, and now let's do it one last time. Oil. And you see all I did there, I got my 3 water cards here and I separated and put that top card on top, so that puts the oil card from bottom to top, right? So I got the 3 water cards here, and I just flash this, oil cards here, and then I go oil, water, oil, water, and you get one last separation for free. So, that's not obviously as strong as the other 4th phase, but it is another, easier way to use the Opta count for, 2 extra phases. So just another little idea there, and I hope you guys like it. All right, guys, so that is my oil and water. That is the first 2 phases of the oil and water that I always do, and then those last 2 phases are some that I do use, and I really love this oil and water. I just typically have that other phase that I mentioned that unfortunately I can't teach, but this one I do use as well, and it is killer. That last phase just absolutely fries them when they feel it in their hands. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I want to thank the new subs for joining. Welcome aboard. I really appreciate it, and all the support, guys. Liking the videos, comment, all really helps me out here. So let me know what you guys think about that. I love oil and water. It's a great plot. If you need some help with this or any other of my effects, or any effects, sleights, mentalism, anything like that, hit my email, rfsleight@gmail.com, and we can set up a private lesson. So yeah, with all that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.